Hi, welcome. You know what? Safety communications is difficult. Honestly, it is. In fact, we tend to make it harder on ourselves than it needs to be because we use a tool that often ends up doing more harm than good. And what I'm talking about is the safety board. Hence the title, is your safety board. More often than not, they fail. And there's some reasons why they fail and what you can do about it to make them a success. Number one is, do they even look like a safety board? Are they even remotely associated with safety? Or have you got them adorned with like balloons and cartoon figures and flowers and other eye-pleasing and whimsical thingies? You know what? Make it look like a safety board. Try this on for size. Use that common safety hatch mark, the yellow and black hatch mark border. Makes it look like a safety board. Safety boards have to be eye-catching, but they also have to be utilitarian. And also, you know what? Go out on a limb. Try using a bold sign that says safety board.
That is bold stuff.
Now, the other thing that the problem is stuff gets outdated. Keep it current. If the stuff on there looks the same all the time and nothing ever changes, it's the same day after day, week after week, month after month, it becomes part of the landscape and people start to ignore it. And if they ignore it, it becomes contagious and other people do as well.
Kevin, that's just not true.
Now, seriously, I have seen stuff on safety boards that's old. And in fact, I've seen documents on there that you know are outdated because they quote outdated legislation. And you see people's names mentioned. And I've asked people, well, what about this person? Oh, they're no longer here. Well, when did they leave? Well, 5 years ago. Oh, my goodness. Keep it current. Change it up. You can even think of doing things like having a safety topic of the month. It can coincide with some of your legislated and jurisdictional things that go on. Like, for instance, we here in Canada, we recognize fallen workers. So we have a National Day of Mourning on April 28th. So it could lead up to that. You can have Mental Health Week, Mental Health Month. You can have Fire Safety Week, Emergency Response Week.
What an amazing concept.
Lots of different things that you can have and recognize and make it relevant. Now, but the other thing, I'll talk about relevancy in a sec, but keep it current and get into the habit of dating, even in pen, and initial it when the documents went up there, because you ideally don't want to have them up there more than a month.
And why not?
So you're changing it often, and people start to recognize the schedules of when they're changed. Now, I know you're thinking, that's a lot of work to keep it relevant, Kevin, and current. How do I do that? I have an answer for you, but you just got to wait a bit, okay? Now, as I said, keep it current, relevant topics. Okay, now, in the last few years, I've seen a lot of safety boards, and they're all still littered with one thing.
Yes, due to COVID.
Yeah, that. And for goodness sakes, I understand it was something important and relevant at the time, but it's losing its relevancy now. And realistically, it was even taking attention away from things that were very crucial because you know what? People that are working at heights still go splat when they fall. People that are working around moving equipment, machinery, and vehicles still have a lot of dangers and risks that they have to be careful of. People that are working alone have their own separate risks. And let's not even forget about things like bullying and harassment. Okay, these are things that could also be addressed as good topics on your safety board. Now, the other thing you don't want to do is crowd it. Honestly, I've seen some safety boards that look like this horizontal stack of paper. Nobody wants to swim through this sea of paper that they're going to drown in. And no, don't make it all sorts of different colored Post-its. That's even worse. Okay, keep it relevant and have each section titled. And you only want to have a few sections. You want to have things like, say, hazard alerts from the most recent inspections or incident investigations, or both. A copy of your health and safety committee minutes. In fact, that's usually a requirement by the legislation in a lot of jurisdictions. You want to, as I said, have that safety topic of the month, something that has good gripping attention and makes things relevant and makes safety relevant for the workforce. You also want to have guidance on how to report incidents, what to do in case you get injured in the workplace, such as seeking first aid and how to report them and workers' compensation claims, etc. Think infographics. A lot of your OHS authorities, your industry sector authorities, and your workers' compensation insurers will have resources for you that they'll often give you for free. Now, the other thing you want to do is reference your occupational health and safety program and the legislation. Let's be serious. Books are becoming a thing of the past, and they're going by the wayside rather quickly. So if your stuff is on a company intranet or on the web and it's employee accessible, have the directions on how to do it there. The other thing is you want to have contact information and information about the membership of your health and safety committee, because they're a driver of safety in your organization. You might even want to think of profiling a health and safety committee member occasionally. That's a good thing. I know lots of people don't like their picture taken. They don't want it up on the wall. They don't want a bio, but it's a good thing because people say, hey, I know that Kevin guy. I'm going to go tell him about this situation. And that's a good thing. So I can't stress it enough that there are things that you need to take and put in place to make safety boards successful. But
Warning. Warning.
a little bit of a warning here. If it is accessible to the public, you do run into some problems because the privacy becomes an issue. So keep it away from where the public can access it. So I'm talking about if you work in restaurants, retail outlets, hotels and warehouses, etc. You don't want the public having access to it because then there becomes a privacy issue, especially if your health and safety committee contact information is up there, which in a lot of jurisdictions it's required by the legislation. You also, if people are mentioned in incident reports or hazard reports, which you should try to not do, that becomes an issue as well. The other thing is it leaves your safety board susceptible to being defaced and vandalized, and you don't want that either. You want to protect the integrity of your safety board. You're going to a lot of work to use it and make it a success. Now, I know you've got the question, hey, Kevin, you're blabbing on. How do I keep it current?
Please tell us, just tell us, I'm begging you.
Well, you know what? It's easier than you think. Have that written into the Health and Safety Committee terms of reference. In other words, have it one of their duties where they are responsible for overseeing the safety board and committed to making sure that it stays up to date, relevant, and stuff gets posted on it. Because that way, if it's overseen by the safety committee and fulfilled by the safety committee, it becomes sustainable. Usually why safety boards fail is they become outdated, old, boring, and irrelevant. And it's because the process around them is not sustainable. It's assigned to somebody, and that somebody ends up moving on, getting promoted, transferred, quits, gets fired, whatever reasons. And then what happens is stagnation. The safety board stagnates, and by the time it's noticed or assigned to somebody else, the harm's been done. And then there's work to resurrect it and make it viable again. So in short, the biggest secret to making safety boards successful is keep them simple and keep them going. That's it. Now, if you want to know more about safety communications, I'll leave a playlist up in this corner regarding toolbox talks, and it's got a whole list of them, anywhere from 3 to 7 minutes. They're really short, and they are very useful in communicating different safety topics. And now, do me another favor. Until we see each other again, and I really hope we do, don't just think about safety. Don't just talk about safety. Be a safety leader, be a safety influencer, provoke safety wherever you are. Okay? Take care. Bye for now.